Kieran Tierney is looking back on over a decade at Celtic as the club prepares for a massive Europa League clash. We've got breaking transfer news on a £30 million winger, updates on Aurelia Mendes' loan move, and Chris Sutton has just taken a subtle dig at the club's European ambitions. Plus, a former Celtic midfielder delivers his verdict on the title race and what the squad desperately needs. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. As Celtic gear up for another Europa League clash on Thursday, Kieran Tierney looks back on his European debut over 10 years on. The Hoops hero will be hoping to create more fond memories for the club he's grown up supporting. Since his return in the summer, a lot has happened. Martin O'Neill came in to steady the ship after Brendan Rodgers' departure, with the 73-year-old overseeing a landmark win over Feyenoord in Rotterdam, their first in the Netherlands in over 24 years. Tierney started that night and played 70 minutes. His fitness has come into question, but the 28-year-old has shown he can still deliver for both club and country. Rewind just over a decade, and the fresh-faced Celtic Academy graduate was thrown in the deep end, at home to Fenerbahce in the Europa League. He had barely even played domestically before being called upon by Ronnie Deila. Tierney recalls that night fondly. He said, "I can still remember driving home in my Ford Fiesta thinking, I've just played against Robin van Persie. I think I had just turned 18. It's amazing to think that's 10 years ago now." The game finished 2-2, and that was my first introduction to European football at Celtic. I think it was only my fifth game for the team. Izaguirre got sent off against Ajax in the previous game a week or two before, and Ronnie just put me in for the Fenerbahce game. For the Ajax game before, I wasn't even in the squad, but that was me, driving home in my little Fiesta after the game thinking, I've just played against Van Persie. I didn't get his jersey or anything like that. I've never been one for swapping shirts. I kept my own one from that night. It's the kind of moment you never forget as a footballer, living the dream of supporters who are watching on. He continued, I'll always remember it. The atmosphere was just amazing, and I was thinking, this is it. It was a massive step up. You have your debut, then your first start. My first Celtic Park start was on Flag Day, on the opening day of that season. Then, that European debut must have been around a month later. I think I did all right in the game. People probably said I played better than I did because I was still a young boy, but I relished the challenge and enjoyed it. James Forrest started alongside Tierney that night, with Callum McGregor an unused sub, with all having a high chance of featuring against Bologna this Thursday. Now for the main story, as Celtic are being linked with a £30 million valued Girona winger in a loan deal. A new winger appears to be on the agenda before the transfer window ends in 12 days, with Celtic said to hold an interest in a player valued at £30 million. A striker remains the priority, with reports heating up around Thomas Kvankara. The Borussia Mönchengladbach striker is said to be on his way to Glasgow to finalise a loan with an option to buy. The Hoops need to add more quality to the squad, with the lack of depth on the wing being one glaring issue. Yasser Asprilla, currently at Girona, is reportedly on the list. Reports say that West Ham are leading the race for a loan deal, but that Celtic are fiercely competing to be the 22-year-old's next destination. The La Liga side apparently values the winger at around £30 million, but would be willing to listen to a more affordable loan fee to allow the Colombia international more minutes on the pitch. Asprilla has made 17 appearances for Girona this season, registering a goal and an assist. Primarily a right winger, he can also play on the left or through the middle. He made the move to Spain from Watford in August 2024 in a deal worth up to €24 million, so it's highly unlikely that the Hoops would move for a permanent transfer, particularly in this window. It remains to be seen whether the interest is concrete, with several names appearing to be linked as deadline day approaches. While moves are going on in the background, Martin O'Neill is preparing his players for a tough tie in Italy. The boys take on Bologna in the Europa League on Thursday evening. It's then a quick turnaround with a vital top-of-the-table clash with Hearts at Tynecastle on Sunday. Celtic sit 6 points behind their title rivals, but a win in the capital would reinvigorate their title ambitions. Let's hope he has reinforcements by Sunday. In other news, with Bodo/Glimt's win over Manchester City in the Champions League last night, Chris Sutton took to social media, with people quick to realise the undertones of his message bore a striking resemblance to Celtic. The Norwegian side hadn't played a competitive fixture in over a month before their memorable triumph over Pep Guardiola's side. That was a draw against Borussia Dortmund. The reason is that their league stops in November and begins again in March. So from here on out, they'll be in European action. They come from a town of around 55,000 people, smaller than Celtic Park, yet have a structure and model in place that has allowed them to record results against teams that dwarf their budget. Their manager, Kjetil Knutsen, recently signed a new deal until 2029. The name will be familiar, given how many times he was linked with Celtic. They did lose out on the league title last season, but their name continues to appear on the European stage. They reached the Europa League semi-final last season, where they were eliminated by Tottenham Hotspur. Chris Sutton was quick to praise their victory, but the message within rang true for Celtic fans. He said, Bodo Glimt from a so-called Farmers League school moneybags Manchester City from the all-conquering Premier League. A great story with 9 of Bodo's starting lineup from Norway. A triumph of good coaching and a terrific structure. Bodo had a plan, other clubs should take note. Reading between the lines, it's clear he's referring to Celtic and their lack of ambition on the European front. The domestic success has been unprecedented, but the hierarchy has failed to use that as a foundation to build and compete in continental competitions. What Bodo/Glimt have is a solid foundation and model that allows them to produce homegrown players consistently with a manager who is backed in the market and sees no reason to move elsewhere. Is that too tough an ask for a club like Celtic with the resources they have at their disposal? Supporters are aware of the struggles that the transfer market brings, especially when players arrive here, do well, and are then sold for a hefty profit. But perhaps with a long-term model in place, academy players would see a reason to stay here and develop longer before making a move elsewhere. Lastly, Paul Hartley has offered his take on the Premiership title race as Celtic head into a defining stretch of the season. Celtic go to Tynecastle on Sunday to face Hearts in a game that carries real weight. A win cuts the gap at the top to 3 points. A defeat puts genuine pressure on the chase. The timing matters. Celtic are still active in Europe and the fixture list is unforgiving. Bologna away in the Europa League comes first, then straight into Edinburgh, with little margin for error. Hartley knows what a title run-in looks like at Celtic. The former midfielder spent 2 years at the club, winning 2 league titles and a League Cup, and he was clear on what usually decides things. Depth, and the lack of it, is the issue he keeps coming back to. Celtic's January business has been thin so far. Julian Araujo has arrived on loan from Bournemouth. Beyond that, movement has been slow, despite reports of a deal nearing completion for Borussia Mönchengladbach striker Thomas Kvankara. Hartley says the lack of urgency is nothing new. He told Sky Sports, surprised and not surprised. They've always been very slow in the market, and they've been very slow. They need a centre forward in, maybe 2, and maybe need another defender and a wide player. That frustration is not limited to the outside. Hartley sees it among the support. You can see that with the supporters. They're getting frustrated, a wee bit anxious. They've never replaced Kyogo at the top end of the pitch. He also pointed to the constant scrutiny around the squad and the questions that keep coming. I think Martin O'Neill is getting fed up getting asked the same question week in, week out. It's an important maybe 12 days left of the window. That's all the latest Celtic news for today. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on Celtic's transfer moves. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.